Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 104 of the Endless Celts Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by William and Francis. Boys, how you doing?
All good, mate.
All good.
Buzzing for Sunday.
Likewise, mate, likewise. But obviously, we understand the night. We're going live, 8 o'clock. Scotland game kicked off just 15, 20 minutes ago. People are probably busy watching that or watching it along with us at the same time. So if you've come along still to join us, even though the game's on, thank you for getting involved. Appreciate it as always. So what we wanted to do today is, because it's been a wee bit quieter this week, we've had the international fixtures, friendlies at that. The competitive fixtures are obviously on hold at the minute. It's kind of give us a wee bit less to normally talk about, because normally we'd have stuff we could just run through. So we've obviously decided that the night we're going to do things a wee bit different. We're still going to talk about a couple of different things, but we're going to open it up to obviously the viewers who come in here regularly and interact with us, and let them ask us questions about Celtic, just whatever they want, really. Just get a wee bit more involved. And before we kick everything off, I just want to say, you might notice if you look just down here, we've got an additional wee sponsor tonight, and that is A Violent Man, the brand new film by our good friend Ross McCall, who wrote this film, directed the film, and has a small starring cameo in the film. Also stars if you've ever watched any sort of British sort of crime movie, Craig Fairbrass, who's an excellent actor, plays a starring role, and it's a great film. And as you can see, it's available on Netflix, and I think it's still sitting in the top 10 Netflix films in the UK at the minute. So if you've not seen it yet, it is a cracking movie. Go and check it out on Netflix. It's available at the minute right now. Fantastic watching. So guys, a couple of things then just to get in there, just because obviously the Scotland game has just kicked off. I know, William, you've got it, and I think you've got it alongside you as well. Got the live stream. I'm sure if Scotland score, we'll see pints flying and everything. William's end. We'll hear about it, but as it stands at the minute, it's still 0-0. That game's ongoing, and we'll just quickly touch on the starting lineup, because obviously the Celtic squad does include, or rather, the Scotland squad does include Celtic players. However, the starting lineup tonight doesn't it, William?
Well, it's good news for us for Sunday, especially the likes of Calmac, who's played like literally every minute, every game. So, you know, me and international football keep banging on about it. For me, it's the pinnacle, and I'm sure he's disappointed he's not playing. But for us on Sunday, that it's pretty good news. And I think for a friendly match, this is a sort of time you want to look at others as well. And I'm not sure if Andrew's been in the air. I don't think he would have been, because he's always banging on about his players and wants them to be playing. But it's great for us. It's strange seeing a Scotland first 11 without a Celtic player in it. So I don't think there's been many of them in the last forever. But all good news for Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And Franny, obviously, I'm not sure, is it one or two Rangers players starting in the squad tonight? So that also could play into your hands, but you're obviously hoping, Francis, that like a Calmac and that isn't brought on the last 10-15 minutes of a game and end up with an injury either.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Greg Taylor and Callum McGregor make an appearance in the game at some point. The later the better, because like you say, John, it's less chance of getting injured. The Calmac one, I'm not starting. A wee bit surprised me, although it's a friendly. Like William says, he just plays every minute. So it was one of the ones that expected him to play. Taylor, understood, not being in with Robertson, joining back up with the team. So I expected that one. But I mean, let's hope Austria start putting the boot in that, and maybe the Rangers players that are starting maybe get a wee niggle injury. Not that I'm advocating violence, John, but just you never know. I'll take any advantage going into Sunday.
Listen, players pull up, hamstrings go. That doesn't even necessarily mean they have to be involved in another tackle. But no, I mean, absolutely. So as I said, these boys have got the game running next to them, so I'm sure we'll get live score updates if anything happens during the game. Just want to thank everybody for coming in. Peter, hail, mate, welcome. Alistair, as always.
Doing Alistair.
Stephen's in before he jumps on his other podcast. That's why he's known tonight. Cheers, Stephen. Anthony's here as well. Anthony, hail, mate. Jed says delighted the boys are on the bench tonight. Absolutely, Jed. I think most of us would agree that it definitely plays into hands, as William said. I think it's hopefully. I mean, you want to see them play, but as you say, hopefully that nothing happens to them, because this is the last game coming into the weekend. This is the last thing you want, especially somebody like Calmac.
I was just about to say Calmac, especially because he's like the one name in the team sheet you want on there every week as our captain. So for him to get rested is a big plus for us, because he's been immense this season for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as I said, this episode's may open up to you guys viewing. I know that the numbers aren't great. I mean, as I said, Scotland are playing. I understand that. It was too late for us to decide. William did suggest that we possibly postpone, but nobody's available tomorrow. So unfortunately, it has to go ahead. Excuse me. So I'll start bringing up questions, because there is a couple. And Alistair, right off the bat, what's your favourite lifetime 11? And the rule is you must have seen them play.
Is it just Celtic players? Or
I'm assuming that unless Alistair is in, he can hang with it quick enough. I'm assuming it's just Celtic players, because he's given us his list. He says Foster, Jackie Mack, KT, Paul Elliott,
Van must be Celtic players.
Paul McStay, John Collins, Lambert, Sutton, Di Canio, and Larson.
Well, I'm coming
I'll
need about 3 hours and a pen and paper.
Do you want to just rhyme off some names off the top of your head?
All right, will I go?
No, on you go.
All right, I'd probably have to go Boric in goals, right back McNamara, left back Tierney, Van Dijk, and I would have to say Mialbe. I can't remember much of Paul Elliott, to be honest, but I've led to believe, I was obviously about, but I can't remember much of him. My midfield, I'm going to try and keep it simple and goals go 4-4-2.
Can I just say, like, to avoid me repeating everything, your goalkeeper and your back four, I would pick exactly the same.
I'll keep it
so
simple.
Alistair, there's mine.
Like, again, I was youngish with McStay. I don't know if I properly appreciated them but then oh my Jesus, man, right, Larson up front. I can't think of
it. Larson's a given.
Larson up front, but who do you put him up with? It's like, I don't know, Alistair, that's a horrendous question, man.
That's a good question, because see, for me, it's not about who's the best.
I was trying to fit them in.
Your best 11. It's like your favourite 11.
Aye.
See, if it was like my best 11, I'd have Van Dijk in there, but I wasn't a massive fan when he was with us, to be honest with you. I was one of the guys, I'll hold my hands up. I thought he was better than he actually was.
That's literally because he was.
and then he's turned it to be pretty much
the player everybody is.
I expect him to be.
This is hard. I mean, jump in anytime you want. We'll let you try and start a team. But
right, I'll just go again off the top of my head. I'll go Forster. I'll go a back three. Jackie Mack, Mialbe, and KT. Loved KT, man. He was like one of my favourite players of all time. Celtic through and through.
Playing that position the night, eh?
Right.
It's a red
Lambert. Lambert's got to be in there.
I'll give that.
I'll go Lambert. I'll go Lambert and McStay in the middle. I'll go Moravchik on the right. Tomo on the left, because I absolutely loved Alan Thompson. You might not make. If I was picking the best players we've ever had, I don't know if he would be in there. I just absolutely loved them. And then I'll just go front three. I'll just say to go the front three, won't I? Sutton, Hartson and Larson.
It's not bad.
Although I've got a wee
Willie.
I would put a wee shout out for Hooper as well, because I absolutely loved him when he was with us. I was like, I thought he was a god when he was with us, and I wish to God he stayed longer, because he could have been an absolute legend. Samaras as well. There's far too many.
I think I would put Nakamura at right mid.
Oh, that's a good shout.
I was going to say Nakamura would be mine. So I would have went a 4-3-3 myself. Boric, KT, Mialbe, Van Dijk, McNamara, Then I'd have Thompson left there, middle three, Lambert in the middle, Nakamura on the right, and up front, Larson, Sutton, and Van Hooijdonk.
Yeah.
Oh, big Pierre. See, I think I've got to chuck Cadet in there. Even it was just, it was last season I was young as well.
You keep thinking about that.
I'll get back to you next week in this, Alistair.
Get back to this. But first of all, Stevens jumped in with his. Let's see what he's saying. Boric, Lustig, Van Dijk, Mialbe, KT, Naka, Brown, Petrov, McGeady, Larson, and Dembele.
I've got to have Bruni in there.
That's a team, by the way, as well.
That's all right.
But again, it just shows you it's like he's named players that you weren't even thinking at the time. And Jed's come in. Jed, Bonner, McGrain, Elliott, Van Dijk, KT, Proven, McStay, Lambert, Burns, Larson, Dalglish.
Dalglish. That's not a bad one too, eh?
Dalglish, eh?
What a team that is.
Tommy Burns, McStay. I mean, I forgot about McStay's in there. Well, at least
he's
in mine, It's got to be.
Just.
By the way, we're winning.
I know. I thought it was scored like that. I thought it was swapped off, but then it came up.
What's the score?
1-0 Scotland.
And
who scored it?
I'm a wee bit behind because I'm on the Sky
Henry.
No, it's not. It is.
It's 1-0.
Henry. So I formed myself.
Topical.
Somebody we should have kept.
2 seconds, John. Alexa. Oh, my Alexa's just randomly came on there.
Just playing Jungle is massive.
So just obviously, there you go. So Jack Henry, ex-Celtic defender, scoring the first goal in the friendly against Austria. That brings me to something else I just want to briefly touch on. As I said, it's a bit quieter in here tonight. There's the game zone, so I appreciate that. Firstly, it comes to players that we've got at the minute, and we could potentially lose out on. Karamoko Dembele's contract is the source of some discussion at the minute because obviously we know that's coming to an end, and it's really where his head's at and whether or not Ange sees a future for him at Celtic. Ange has come out and said that they're going to sit down with him and have these discussions and see what he wants to do and where he wants to be. But I think that Ange, at least it sounds like Ange is keen on keeping him part of the setup. William, do you think that Dembele has a future at Celtic? Is it somebody you would try and secure long term, at least at this point, and then see if he's capable of proving himself?
I definitely would. I'm not as hung up on him. I don't think, like, from what I've seen, I think there's a talent there, but I don't think he's necessarily the next big thing. I know he's still young, so the problem is if he's wanting first team football, I don't think he's going to get it at us at the moment. I think he needs to progress and he needs to do better. I think we've seen, in my opinion, there is a route to the first team if you are good enough, and many in the last few seasons unfortunately haven't been, and I think he needs a few more years yet. I would love to keep him and maybe put him out on loan, like we've done with Montgomery this season, like we've done with Christie and all that in the past. But he might not want that. It might be not an option for him. He might not want that. You know what I mean? And I think looking at our squad just now, we've talked about it in the past few weeks, the past few podcasts, that it's such a big squad now, and in his position, I would say he's at least fourth in the pecking order. I think he's playing people
fourth?
That I would say so. Aye, I'd think he's playing people that's not even their strongest position in there ahead of him, and i.e. Jota. There's a bad in there,
right? Aye.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So Forrest, so he's at least fourth for me, and I don't see. I know you're a massive fan, John. I'll like to hear your opinion on it as well, but I just don't think the timing's great. I don't think it's the right time, and I think he just needs a bit more, maybe a bit more game time. I think a loan move would be great, but I would make it a priority to try to get him signed on because I think there is a real talent there, and I think it would be a shame to see him go. But in saying that, at the moment, I don't think he's anywhere near the first team, in my opinion.
That's fair. It's funny you mentioned, because when I was initially thinking about it, I was thinking that maybe, like, and Stephen's come in here and he's made a point. I want to know what your thoughts are on this as well. He said Dembele has to stay, potentially Forrest on the decline. He's certainly coming to the latter end of his career, I think it's fair to admit, in the long term anyway, Dembele might be an option as a backup at the minute, and then going forward and in the years to come, going into next season, etc., with Abadi and Dembele vying for the spot on the right is a good shout. For me, William, you mentioned that as it stands at the minute, though, he might even be fourth in the pecking order, and you're right. We're moving in the likes of Maeda to the left, and moving like Jota out on the right. Even potentially Abada's become second string, and then you've got Forrest as well. And so, I mean, you make a valid point, but for me, as you know, I've been a fan of Dembele's. I've been wanting to see him get the opportunities and chances that he's getting, or more of those, so to speak. But what about yourself, Francis? Where do you stand on Dembele's contract at the minute?
I'm much like one. I would like to see us tie him down, but I think you would need to put him out on loan, because I don't see him getting much first team opportunities. Obviously, even if Jota doesn't stay on, in my eyes, he's still looking at third choice behind your Forrest and Abada. So I think it's more where he sees his career. If he thinks going out on loan, like staying on at Celtic for maybe another 2-3 years, going out on loan and try to get first team experience, and then having a crack at it, because I've said, like, how long do you be the next best thing? He's been the next best thing for year after year after year. And I do appreciate he got a bad injury in pre-season. He has missed a lot of this season, but you can't always be the next best thing and never really do it. So you hope he's got the right people in his ear to give him the right advice. But for me, I would selfishly, from a Celtic point of view, try and sign him up, but more look to send him on loan and see. Ideally, send him on loan in Scotland to like a Hibs or somebody that you'll see him in that league essentially.
How old is he now?
I think he's 19, so he is still young. But again,
I know, but I totally agree, and I think he is still young, and I think it still is. But see that like he is meant to be the superstar we've all talked about, but the likes of McGeady and Maloney's not. They were in the team
at that age
or earlier. So I just don't know if he is good enough. And we talked about the options there. We've all spoke about Maeda, Kyogo, Giacomakis front three. There's Jota, Abada. You know what I mean? I think he's just so far down the pecking line. I don't see him getting first team football anytime soon.
We recently spoke about our front threes, and not once was he mentioned in any of them.
Yeah.
See, I mean, all valid points. But for me, I think one of the things we need to bear in mind as well is, and you mentioned McGeady and the likes, these guys coming through and they coming straight into the first team. Celtic never really had the depth that we've got at the minute in the position. So I think that kind of hinders, or it's not favourable for Dembele anyway, that he's competing with so many guys in these positions. And obviously, he had that injury very early in the season, which has obviously hampered his chances. I think that if he didn't get that injury in pre-season, he might have been featured more throughout the season and cemented a place for himself. But keeping it topical, again, we're on the international side of things. He's actually been having conversations, or at least it's reported, he's been having conversations with the Ivory Coast.
That's right.
For a full international cap.
I think this came out that that's who he's chosen now. That's like done deal.
And I want to bring this to you, obviously, William. You're an avid Scotland fan, as you pointed out, sitting with the top on the night. Should Clark, or do you think that maybe some time ago, Dembele, in a match like the night, being a prime example, these matches the night, an opportunity to offer these boys a full cap, cement them as part of the team going forward, and security services, because if he does turn out to be the player, regardless of whether he's with Celtic or not, if he does turn out to be the player that people think he might be, or that he's been projected to be, could that be a loss for Scotland?
Only time will tell. To be honest with you, I think Steve Clark probably has done that, and if not him, more at youth level, they've probably had the conversation with him. I mean, Clark's got previous with Lyndon Dykes, etc. He's not Scotland born, but he brought him in and convinced him. His whole family's Scottish. I don't know if you've seen an interview recently, and he talked about how his wife's Scottish, his son's Scottish. He sees himself as Scottish. His whole family's Scottish. They just emigrated to Australia when he was younger, before he was born, obviously. And he so Clark's not afraid to go and take that chance or go down that avenue and speak to these guys. So, but again, I think it's below him. I think it'll be the under 21s or whatever. I think they will all have the conversation. But at the end of the day, it's down to the player. And I would imagine the conversations have been had, but he probably prefers to go elsewhere. By the sounds of things, it looks like Ivory Coast. I think he probably thinks that's his best chance at international football, maybe, and that's why he's going to make the choice. They've obviously approached him and put in a better offer, for lack of a better phrase, and made him feel welcome. So if that's where he wants to go, then good luck to him. But Scotland squad's in a very good place at the moment. But I hear what you're saying about if he does become a proper player, and it might be Scotland's loss. But we don't know if the conversations have been had or not. They might have tried and failed.
Yep. No, absolutely. What about you in the same sort of mindset, Francis? Where do you stand on that?
I'm certain some of them, like, also if you've got to look at the way Stevie Clark plays now, does a Dembele fit in it? It doesn't really play wingers as such, so does he fit into Stevie Clark's system? He could maybe pick Scotland and go, well, I don't know, like, he's looking at Scotland and we play like sort of a 5-3-2 maybe, or however we want to look at the wing backs, how we want to look at it anyway. And I don't see where he fits into that. So is he got to look at that and say, well, I'm no chance of getting a game in that system. Do I pick Scotland for the next manager and he might play a similar system or one that doesn't fit in? And also believe he played for England a lot at schoolboy level and coming up through the ranks at various age groups. I think he's played it, represented England there. So, I mean, is he actually Scottish? He might, like what William was saying, although Lyndon Dykes was born in Australia, feel Scottish. Maybe he doesn't really feel Scottish, and I don't see how he gets in the England squad and all due respect to him, but it's one of the ones you're going to have to just judge in maybe 3-4 years' time and just say, maybe we should have tried a wee bit harder to get him if he does pick Ivory Coast. But right now, I don't see how he fits in the Scotland, the way Scotland played. I don't see how he fits in that formation.
Yeah. No, I mean that's absolutely valid. I agree with both points that you made. For me personally, though, I think that if it was up to me and I was the Scotland manager years ago, he would have been offered the opportunity in a game such as tonight, a friendly game where you've got time to maybe experiment with your lineups and your players to offer him that full cap, but at the same time sort of cement his position as a Scotland international. And then,
but William was saying, like, Scotland are in a good position. They've got so many guys playing in the Premier League and that.
I'm not saying that's not the case, but like I said, we're talking about a guy who, as you said, is 19 years old. And if he goes away, he leaves Celtic and starts getting regular football and turns out to be elite, top tier talent. Could he have been wearing a Scotland jersey?
I just went to double check because I'm pretty sure he was playing for Scotland and he has played for Scotland at youth level.
He did play at youth level, aye, as well as England, I believe as well.
Aye, so he has had the option. But for me, at an international level, personally, if you're not playing for your club, I don't think you should be starting for you. It wound me up for years. Alan Hutton was starting for us at right back and he was playing in Aston Villa's reserves. And if he's not appearing for Celtic, then for me, I don't see how he can get called up. That's just my opinion.
Fair.
Under 21s, aye, bang him in there all day, bring him into every squad, but no for me.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, I understand that. Martin Kay's back with us tonight. Martin, well done. Thanks for coming in, mate. Cheers. Anthony asked a question back, and Anthony, I wasn't ignoring you, mate. Obviously, we were discussing other things, so I'm pulling it back up now. Anthony wants to know, just for the boys, keep it topical. What's your favourite moment as a Scotland fan? William.
Oh, geez, I
already know mine.
It's maybe Fadi against France, but
Fadi against France,
but my most outstanding memory was Collins scoring that penalty against Brazil, and we were at the World Cup, and I can remember being, because I was still young, and I remember going off my nut, like, because we levelled at the time. No, go ahead.
No, it was level.
And Tom Boyd. So to be level with Brazil at the biggest tournament in the world against the greatest team ever, and that team was
that Brazil team was on it. That was they were on another level.
So that's probably my most memorable moment. I don't know about favourite moment. Favourite would probably be Fadi scoring that goal against France and us winning.
Absolute better. Beating France, but that France team was some team as well.
That's true.
I think for me, you mentioned that Brazil, the France '98. That's the earliest memories I have of Scotland as a national team at all. I mean, that's as far back as I can remember. That's the earliest I can really think of. But I'll just say my favourite moment for me was just the scenes leading up to qualifying for the Euros. Again, because like that '98 year was the last time we even featured in a major competition. And I lost all interest in the Scotland national team for a long time because we were absolutely dying. We just kept falling and falling at the last hurdle, and it became really, really frustrating to watch. But that for me, the penalty and
Ryan Christie's interview as well. I was howling, man. Absolutely howling.
It bring grown men to tears. You can see how much it meant to him, but it was just the scenes after it and Marshall's reaction when he saved the penalty and wasn't sure like that was.
I think so.
That was my favourite moment for me. What about yourself, Francis?
I was thinking about that moment, John, and obviously the penalty. Well, I touched on Don Hutchison's goal at Wembley was a big one for me. Ultimately, obviously when we lost 2-1 in Zagreb, but I'm kind of got to go more recent, and for similar reasons to you, John, like Callum McGregor's goal against Croatia. Although and it ultimately lost that game, we went out. But a bit like you, I went off Scott, like paid attention early on in the group stages. Then it was after usually 3 or 4 games when it was up in there, I lost interest again. But then obviously the last sort of 2-3 years I've turned into the glory hunter, and I've openly admitted that when it comes to Scotland, I went glory hunting. And when we obviously qualified for the Euros, like I taken time off my work, so I was like, no, I can legally, not that I'm promoting drinking, but I could legally drink when Scotland won in a major tournament. And I was like, I'm taking time off for this. I'm going to the pub, and just to be in the pub with mates and everything, just to celebrate a goal at the time that had a big bit of significance and us potentially advancing in that competition. It was a really good moment. It just really ignited a lot of love again for international football, especially Scotland. So I would have to go for McGregor's goal against Croatia just for that couple minutes how I felt in the pub, just celebrating a Scottish goal at a major tournament.
As a
drunken man
for Scotland, and Chris Brown has scored for Scotland.
That's probably true, by the way.
I know.
Listen, stats these days don't. I find myself constantly surprised when people pull things out, and I'm like, really? Is that really?
Ryan Christie's got the same amount of goals in the league as Ryan Kent this season.
So is Edward.
And they both left in August.
Honestly, it does make you laugh. William obviously popped in with a funny week. I wasn't going to read this, but if you had to choose one, would you have a Sharks fin or a Cow's udder?
Oh, that's a good question, man.
Better yet, Alistair's came in. Sharks fin, William, because they call me Jaws.
The Sharks fin, if you go to the beach, you get the beach to yourself pretty much. If you go and swim, you got the Cow's udder though. You've got fresh milk to fire into your tea, so it's a difficult one. But I think I'd go with the Sharks fin.
I would go with.
I would probably go with Sharks fin. But I don't know why.
Why answer this?
Why? I know I've got one alluded to it, but
I've got one. Franny's missus sent me, by the way. We work together. We work together. By the way, we got a private group chat. This might be a bit thingy, but would you rather pee yourself an hour into your shift at work, or the other poo yourself with an hour left to go and you can't clean either up?
Oh yeah. Oh, I think I'm going pee. I think I'm going pee.
I'd much
rather pee. At least it'll dry eventually. It might stink, but it'll dry.
Aye, and it'll stink a lot less.
Aye, and
I'd like to see people's replies to that.
You're not
I've actually
this
got a proper
podcast
question.
Is taking a turn for the worst tonight.
I've actually got this. I know it's always my fault. I've actually got a proper question.
Well, essentially,
I'd like to hear everybody's. Because I actually think it's really. I was thinking about it myself the other day. If your Player of the Year awards was tomorrow night, who would be winning it for this season? Because for me, Kyogo's been immense this year, but he's obviously missed half the season. I think if he was fit, he'd probably walk it. But there's so many candidates. There's Calmac. I think Ralston's been amazing. The guys have definitely peaked it. Definitely. Agreed. I mean, even Giacomakis, in a couple of months, we could be saying him. I mean, there's loads and loads. I think it's a really difficult question.
I think I'm going Calmac, mate. Just consistency, and then he's grew into the season. I think.
Pizza and Joe Finlay in agreement with you there, Francis.
It's obviously not as difficult as I thought.
For me, I'm going Carter because I think he's just been absolutely solid this season. He's been consistent, and it's if you look at it in terms of consistency, he's played in just about every game since he's come in, and he's been nigh on untouchable. And as he says, he's been a huge part of solidifying Celtics as the best defence in the league. So that would be my shout.
How many nominees you get in now every season for the league? Is it 4?
Not sure how it works, mate.
I'm not sure.
I'd be surprised. See if it's 4 or 5. I'd be surprised if all
of them are Celtic
players this season.
Jed's come in CCV or Kyogo. Alistair,
no, that's a lie,
CCV
by the way.
Boys.
Sorry, no, maybe no all that. The young boy at Ross County will be in there. He's top goal
scorer. Oh, top goal scorer,
excellent this year, so he'll be in there, and then the rest should be. CCV's a great shout as well.
Just going back to Anthony's question, not a Scottish fan, but Ireland 1, Germany 0. Shane Long. One night.
Shane Long.
Still get back it, man.
Jed also came in, and by the way, I want to just bring this to Jed. I don't know if you've watched any. We actually have older episodes, believe it or not, where we do like topical specials, so to speak. So this is perfect for one of them going forward, boys. Maybe in the 70s might be a stretch for me anyway.
80s, I was 84. 80s will be the stretch as well, man.
Get Jed on.
80s,
you can do it.
Jed, you're welcome. You can cover the 70s, but there's one for the favourite best starting 11 through 70s, 80s through the 2000s. But Jed, we have actually got. We did have something very, very similar, and it's worth checking out, guys, if you want to go back, because they ones on the unlike the regular season episodes, we're talking about stuff that's happening during the course of that season. These ones you can go back and listen to because they're more specialised sort of topics, and it's no relevant to any particular moment this season. It's just as a whole in general. So they're worth.
Nobody wants to remember last season. Let's be honest.
I think that is we're going to do more of these specials, and this is the sort of thing we're going to do, Jed. Favourite 11s. I mean, I don't think we have actually done a favourite 11. There was a spin-off where Tony hosted, and me and Ross. He gave me the Strachan years, was it?
So
somebody got Rodgers and whatever years, and somebody had the O'Neill Strachan years, and we both picked a team from the areas, and then we decided who would win in the matchup and stuff like that. So, and we also did. I hosted with these two, and we did our Celtic worst 11, which is quite funny too. So we'll maybe go back to that now that we're live and we've got video. We'll maybe go back. Go back and touch on some of these things. So, and especially now that the viewers can get involved. Like the night, that, and people have thrown in names that we obviously forgot about off the top of our heads. So I think it's definitely something we're going to be doing soon.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back to it, as you said there, I just pulled them up here. So one of them we done this back in April last year was the Nopes 11. That was the Celtics' worst ever team based on all them players. So we sat and had a discussion. I mean, these episodes are worth going back and listening to. As I say, we had a discussion about who the absolute worst of the worst. If you were to build a first 11 of the worst Celtic players in history, who would we pick? So we've done that.
I'd love to do that again and get the viewers input, and then we all decide.
It would be some laugh, like
with the viewers, we all decide that as a.
And get a collective.
Aye.
Put it at the end. Just get a collective team at the end.
And then
you work out how you do a poll, John, live, and we'll do that.
Well, we can listen. We can sort all that out. But I mean, these are fantastic ideas, and if other people have got ideas and stuff they'd like us to do, fire them in. But the other one we done was 21st Century Boys special, where Anthony took up the role as host. Fantastic episode that we've done. Again, these are audio only, but they're still available on YouTube and Spotify and everything else over the past 2 decades, so 2000s through to now. Where Ross William picked a preferred 11 from 2000 to 2010, and then 2010 to present day. and the reasons why they included those players and things like that. So I thought, listen, this was all during a season where, I mean, we had nothing much else to talk about. It was just nothing
positive
fun anyway. Positive eye. So these were an outlet for us to sort of have a wee bit of a laugh and just sort of discuss other things and stuff like that. So as I said, you can find them if you go on our YouTube channel, check the playlist and go to the specials playlist. They're listed in there, or if you can just search for them on Spotify, whatever sort of streaming platform that you use. But I think going back to them and touching on them again in this live format with viewer interaction would be some laugh as well. So we need to do that some night.
Definitely.
Chase come in. Evening, folks. Jay, welcome.
Hey, Jay.
Let's see if there's any other questions, because I know I've just missed a couple here. Does Joe come in? By the way, Hart's been outstanding also. I think that's in relation to your
Pound
question.
for pound, arguably the best signing. Money value for money.
Value, definitely. Immense.
Pieces come in, justified his reason for Calmac. You just need to look at the boots he's had to fill. He's proper stepped up in his game. I would fully agree with that, mate.
Agreed. I think there was a lot at the start of the season. I think there was a lot of talk. I think we did it in the podcast as well about who the next captain would be, and a few people were a bit negative, a bit wary about Calmac filling his shoes, because he is
totally different.
Quiet boy. So all the best, Martin. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, Martin. Sorry about that, mate. Yeah, thanks. Enjoy.
Aye, a big boots to fill, and he was a quiet man, and I always thought he was going to be the one that leads by example. He's no like Bruni to go and scream at players, and he takes the game by the scruff of the neck, and he shows a bit. I don't want to use Gerrard as an analogy, but he that's what he done in the game. He would take the game by the scruff of the neck and lead by example the way he played. And I thought Calmac would be the same, but he's that and more. He is the guy that's going to screaming. I think my favourite moment of this season is when he called Barisic a shite bag because he wouldn't try.
Brilliant, absolute brilliant.
I love it.
Twice just to make sure he heard it.
I've always been a massive fan. Absolutely love the boy, and I thought for me he should be captain. And saying that, if the likes of Hart and all that were here, they had been here for a year or two, they could have been a shout. CCV, all the rest of these guys, and he's far surpassed what I thought he would ever do as a leader this season. He's been absolutely immense. I've got no words for him because he's been superb, absolutely superb.
PC coming, I agree with that, was brilliant. Just before Joe Finley's come in with a couple of questions, and I'll ask them in just a minute, but obviously obligations to do, our sponsors, Manscaped, for the episode this evening. Before I forget completely.
I wish you had.
was never going to happen. So obviously, as you're all aware, previously in this past couple of episodes and this episode obviously is sponsored by Manscaped, the best in below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And they've engineered the ultimate growing and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredible comfortable grooming experience. The fourth generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, is now launched all over Europe and features wireless charging. That's what the wee cup's for, Anthony. A cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, and it comes with additional guard size 1 to 4 to fine-tune your trim. And thanks to the advanced skin safe technology, my monitor just shut off. That's why it's went black. Advanced skin safe technology. You can now feel confident shaving your buzz or bars, as Stephen would try and say. So I join over 4 million men worldwide and trust Manscaped with an exclusive offer, 20% off on their website. If you just typed in Celts as a discount code at checkout, you can get that. And by the way, listen, some of the stuff that I mean, we obviously, full disclosure, Manscaped have sent us some stuff. It's been used. Listen, we can swear by it. And the stuff we got recently, their aftershave, I don't know if you have tried the aftershave yet, boys, but their aftershave is, I'm loving it. Like,
you hate to tell the Tony story about the hingy first, just to let everybody know. There's a wee bit that comes with it, by the way. I've never laughed so hard in my life. There's a wee bit, sorry Tony, but I need to tell the viewers this.
He's coming.
There he is. You're meant to plug the charger in. That you set the Manscaped razor on. And Tony turned around and said to us in the pub, "What about that wee cup you get to? You sit your balls in so you can shave through them."
Guard thing.
And I was sitting thinking, wait a minute, I never got a wee fucking ball.
That's right.
Nobody else got this.
And what's this about? To then we all clicked and realised that's where you're meant to charge. That's what you're meant to sit the razor into charge.
Station.
Absolutely genius. But just to echo what John said, like the stuff is superb, and they've got creams and body deodorants and that you slap on after it, and it makes you feel fresh as. And
it's not just razors.
20%.
They've got.
And 20%'s a massive discount. Massive.
Think about it.
Get on it, guys. Honestly, it'll be great like present in that as well for whoever. So if no, get the wives and the missus, get them onto it and get them to get you a discount and get it for Father's Day or something.
They make perfect gifts, and like I says, Father's Day's coming up, so novelty gifts as well. I mean, the 20% off definitely makes it a lot more affordable, because some of the stuff they sell is a wee bit is higher end kind of stuff, but like it's some of the stuff is great, and they make great gifts. Like that aftershave would be great. Father's Day's coming up. If you've got a loved one, a relative, or somebody you just want to have a wee joke with as a wee novelty thing, get them something like the ball clipper or something like anything like that, man. It's definitely worth it. But back to things at hand.
For your boss.
You get a wee free cup. As I say, Joe Finley's got two quick questions here. I wanted to see because I think it's been circulated. He says there's two things he wants to know: why the hell did George Cadet leave Celtic, and what did McCoy say to Lennon? I think the McCoy to Lennon things came to light recently.
I think Tomo tell everybody what it was. Oh, what was it he said again? Tomo came out and said, I think it's in his autobiography actually, because obviously Tomo was the assistant gaffer
at the time
for Lennon at the time, and I think it was. Do you know, John? I think it was something along the lines of McCoy said, like, didn't you be harming my team or something because kicked them off the park or whatever? And Lennon said, it's no your team, it's Walter's team. And then McCoy flew off his nut, and then that's how it started. I think Lennon said, I've
heard that something like that. I heard it was quite petty as well, and it escalated. There was no point in it, like getting to the stage it did. But Joe, so that's what this William says. I believe that's. If you heard anything different, Francis?
Nah. And never really heard that story. So
another one was why George Cadet left Celtic. My understanding,
no money.
Is well, I think it's down to two things. I think he wanted an extension to his contract, and he wanted to be paid what he believed he was worth. And at the time, I think Fergus McCann just wasn't having it, and he told him no, it's not happening. He wasn't subduing his demands or whatever it was.
He's a ridiculous play for that season, man.
He just walked. But I mean, after that year, you have to be fair. I don't know what the details of the contract were, obviously, or what he was demanding, but he certainly warranted an extension.
I think if it is the case that he did walk, then he most definitely regrets it now, because it's about Celtic, and I know he said that he said he wished he could have stayed longer. So that's a really interesting question. I'd love to know if it was the case or if he was kind of forced out, because not long after that we spent a hell of a lot of money. So my understanding is that he was only on a 1 year deal initially or something. I can't remember what it was. But it was a very short-term contract. It was like minimal at the time. He came in. He had that season, Francis, as you said. I think it was about 36 goals he scored.
I think so.
We didn't. Unfortunately, we didn't win the league that year, but we damn near came close. That team was incredible, and I think it's one of the best Celtic teams I've seen that's not won the league. It's absolutely mental. But
that team is my first memory of Celtic, because I'm still a young pup. That's my first team, and I think that's
the three amigos,
especially the three. Paul McStay, they're the guys that made me fall in love with the club. Well, I didn't have a choice anyway, obviously. My dad took me to games and stuff, and it wasn't a choice. But seeing that team and seeing the guys, I mean, I was in the school playground scoring goals and running about thinking I was George Cadet. So he's one of the main reasons that I fell in love with the club and that team. So I'm pretty sure Tommy Burns would have given him what he wanted.
I would probably have been pushing for it. But you also have to consider, it wasn't long after that where we signed Larson. Now, had we kept Cadet,
That's true.
It was the season after.
Was it the season directly after? Was it?
Well,
there you go.
I think the intention was to put the two up top together. That'd have been frightening, man.
But would we have even signed Larson if Cadet was still there?
I think Pim Jansen would all have signed him. Like, I think Pim Jansen would all have signed him.
Either way, it makes an interesting discussion because can you imagine, like you said, we could have potentially no had Larson, or you could have potentially seen a Larson Cadet duo up front.
Brilliant.
Incredible.
Here's one for the viewers. What football bits? What was the brand of football bits that Decano wore?
Theodora?
No.
Lotto?
No.
I was going to say Lotto. I thought it was Italian.
Let the guys answer.
Was it Partix or something?
No. I'm pretty confident with the name. It's an Italian brand. No, it's definitely an Italian brand. I would say with the name it's an Italian brand.
Gucci?
Nah.
Gucci slippers? No.
Probably some designer custom.
By the way, that goal against Aberdeen, that first touch in the logo of the keeper, that was slippers he was wearing that night.
That's he was wearing that brand as well. Nah.
What about that goal against Aberdeen, though?
I know.
Ryan's come in. Mizuno?
Nope.
Good shout, Ryan. Didn't even think of them.
Well, not really, because they're not Italian, are they?
Lotto,
are they not? I couldn't tell you. Just because the name doesn't sound... I mean, that Mizuno sounds Italian.
Yeah, it does, but...
Who you say?
Do they know Japanese?
Why, just because we had a player with that surname?
No, I'm pretty sure golf clubs when they get made, I don't know.
I think Kappa's Italian, but Kappa's a Greek word. So...
Right. All right,
it sounds like a group chat.
I know.
I'm going to start arguing now.
Anybody else coming through now?
Brown Warriors came in. Cheers for joining us, mate. He did come. Hold on. He did come in. Sorry, I'm late. He was out walking the dogs and got embroiled in a conversation with one of the mini invisibles dotted around the doorways. Good to see you, my man. I don't know. We'll check about the boots issue in just a second. A couple of things I just want to bring up. Anthony, obviously, we talked about the Manscaped thing and Anthony's thing. We've got Dodger. It's a fuck's sake with my pubic hair with Manscaped, Dodger. It's honestly, it's listen.
You feel alive again.
Not necessarily. God, nobody's saying you have to go full like bald, but just keep them trim, man.
You should though.
Adds a couple inches.
But they don't just do that. It's not just for shaving your balls. Like they've got after shaves. They've got
nose and ear trimmers and all sorts, man.
All sorts, just for sort of general grooming. They're like, but I mean, it's whatever you're into. If it's not what you're into, then buy somebody else. Jez came in. Cadet fell out with Fergus McCann over money. I think just going back to that. I think it was money. McCann broke his promise. Dodgers saying. Joe's come in Cadet. He was outstanding, world class. The place clicked with him. He was. He just.
I think it speaks for itself. When he was only here for a season, and he's still a massive part of the club. And he's at Smokers, and he's always at big Celtic events and all the rest of it. The impact he had in that season was more than most had in many seasons. He was. I agree with Joe. I thought he was world class, and what a finisher, man. Absolutely.
Warriors came in here. Fergus McCann had the opportunity to hand control of Celtic when he left to make a tidy profit. He chose to cash in and make a killing profit selling up to Desmond. Yes, he saved Celtic, but my understanding was that Fergus McCann, he came in, he bought Celtic, he ploughed so many millions into Celtic, redoing the stadium, clearing debts and stuff like that, getting us back into a healthy position. When he left, I think he only took out the club what he put in. That's my understanding. I'm sure it was reported as well that was the case. I might be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. But I'm sure they only, let's say he came in and he invested 20 million. He left with 20 million. Like he took back what he put in. And I don't know. Yeah, and you just got a comment on that?
I tend to look at that. I don't know about the ins and outs. I think if he walked with a profit on money, then he came in, then he more than deserved it because he saved our club and we wouldn't be where we are today without him, in my opinion. As we've seen across the city, the decision could have went the other way, and
by the way,
Manscaped will come out with like curling tongs or something next because of Brown Warrior.
Oh, I'm not putting him near that. I'm not putting him near it, man. Oh,
So Manscaped, the representatives will at some point be watching this. So Brown Warrior, there's if that idea's taking up, Brown Warrior wants some sort of royalties.
I reckon if that was in Dragon's Den, Big Banner Time would be like, I'm in 50%.
Going back to your question about Di Canio's boots, Anthony's come in.
Nope.
Oh, that's a great shout to.
Nope.
Has nobody got an Alexa at home? For God's sake. The Ken Franny has.
I could just always remember them, man. Always remember them.
I remember back in high school, I had a white Sergio Tacchini jacket, and I also
Sergio Tacchini was the cool man's kappa, man.
Aye.
Listen, I thought I was a shit when I had it, right? But see, I used to have a wee dirt bike as well, and I remember going out. I was wearing it one day, and I went out to the garage. My dad was there fixing cars, and my bike was there, and I took my bike out, and I thought, I'll have a wee look at my bike, and I got oil on my fucking jacket, and it never ever came out, man. I was absolutely gutted.
So you get yourself put a bottle in your back
tire.
That sounds better.
Absolute stupidity.
That's more devastating than Kentucky leaving.
I honestly, I was absolutely distraught.
There you go.
Me too, Dodger. I need it. All the hair's left my head, and it's grown fucking everywhere else.
Dodger saying, remember the 3 goals at Kelly, Tom, Cadet, and Di Canio? Andy Tom, by the way. What
Andy Tom, he was a player. I got a picture signed with him when I was wee. I've still got it. I absolute treasure it.
Brown, 9 million and 40 million. Again, Brown, you might be right, mate. As I said, I've only heard that he only took out what he put in. Jed's
the club was in a far better.
Bergus left with 9 million profit.
The club was in a far better position, like night and day better position that was when he walked out than he did when he walked in. No, I don't, mate. I've got another reason for that. I didn't want to shave my head or my face with the same thing I shave my balls with. Even though they do give you clean and stuff, but I'm pretty sure you can use it on your napper.
Probably.
Felix never done anything. He did. They said they weren't going to do. Left with 51% small shareholder owns it. DD only was 30. There's Kevin. Kevin, welcome in, mate. Jed, a shout. Pantafola boots.
Is that right? Pantafola Dora.
I have never heard of them.
It was like a wee circle and triangles.
Did they become Deodora or no?
Potentially, well, I'm not sure.
Ask Alexa.
It was a wee circle with like triangles and that. Oh.
I've never even heard of them. But good
what
shout,
Jed. What a player
Jed.
as well, though, eh? Absolute maniac, but what a player.
Jed knows his stuff, eh?
He does.
Correct.
You get him on the quiz. I might Jed on the quiz.
He came out to work Google. He worked Google.
Francis. Yeah, there you go. Francis is making claims that you're cheating. Brown Warriors come in. Sergio Tacchini made the majority of Scouse shell suits. Aye. After Tom's goal at Ibrox was an absolute Tom. By the way, Andy Tom. I don't think Andy Tom didn't score a screamer. I think just everybody that left his fit seemed to be an absolute rocket.
Like I said,
that's what I remember.
In the cup game, can't remember him scoring a bad goal. Like
you remember people talk about Alan Thompson's that he had some shot on him, like he would hit a ball and it would just be an absolute rocket.
As good as Andy Tom, man.
Andy Tom was different gravy as well. Like.
Absolute, aye. I reckon he's one that people forget about. I think he was a good player, man.
And he put a fair bit of cash back then as well. Was it not about 3 million?
No idea.
Couldn't tell. Who did we sign him
back? Like Stuttgart, I think.
Was it Stuttgart? I knew he came from Germany.
I think.
Ask Jed.
Aye, Jed will tell us now.
Does Jed or Alistair actually? Alistair seems to.
Alistair knows his stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
Who did we say? There's a question for you boys. Who did we sign Andy Tom for?
That was my guess.
Jed's coming Andy Tom. But are you right though? Are you confident?
I don't know. I'll get a goal.
Kevin's coming. You're right. Alistair Cadet did blow up Radio Scotland in his debut via Aberdeen.
Can remember that we go. Second touch or something. First control. Think they are Jim Lane. So it's on BBC One that game, I'm sure.
I've said this on preview. There's Dodger coming. Andy Tom played for East and West Germany.
Fucking traitor.
Oh, by the way, they're a quiz question for you.
That is, by the way.
I should have a quiz question the night, eh?
You not got one, William? You usually good at these.
I've got loads, but we've not got much time left. So I'll maybe leave it to the next one.
Here's one. What topical? What's I know Thuram memory. Oh, Glasgow Derby memory.
Joe, Maida
Yeah,
uses
yeah.
Manscaped. His growth matches his work rate endless.
Although he's annoyed me recently because he leaves the goatee but shaves the tash. Winds me up, man. Although it's less resistance, so probably better for his pressing game.
There you go. Jed's come in and says Hertha Berlin.
I'll trust Jed.
I believe
we taking Franny's side or Jed's side here?
I believe Jed.
I believe Jed. I said it myself.
Sundays. Brown Warrior in with the same.
Ryan's come in though. Leverkusen.
Somebody Google it, man.
Somebody Google it. Where's Stephen? Stephen's good at Googling things.
He's stats. Stats,
He's
mate.
a
Stats.
stat man. Didn't need that part about.
Joe, I agree. I think a lot of the reason that Tom was maybe he's not remembered as much is because there was long parts of games where he could go missing, but see when he popped up, there was a goal at the end of it, and it was usually for about 30 yards out.
Is Tom what you would call a cult hero?
I would say he is.
Ryan McWilliams is right.
Well done, Ryan, mate. I'm pretty
sure. No, he's not.
Oh.
No, he's not. Sorry. It's the way Google scores it. It's got BFC Dynamo. And no, he is right. By the way, we sold him to Hertha Berlin.
Right, there you go,
Jen. Ryan. Tell you what, Ryan did well in our quiz and all. Well done, Ryan, mate.
Aye, well done, right. So we signed Andrew Storm for Bayern Leverkusen, and Jed, we sold him to Hertha Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
There's Alistair's came in as well. Dodger Brecken. Close, mate. Close.
I think it's
Brecken.
He definitely played for Hertha.
John was trying to say it in a German accent there, I think.
What's that?
Brecken. No, Brecken. Was that Dundee or Aberdonian? A Brecken.
I wouldn't have understood you if it was Aberdonian.
1.2 million for Tom, Alistair saying. There's one other thing I'd like to say.
All right, Alistair, right?
Is that what we signed them for?
I thought it was well than that. But
or we signed them or sold them. I just seen as we're on the sort of subject to German players and German clubs. Nice segue into this next point I want to make. Recently, reports are coming out that Celtic are linked to Bayern Youth, a German under-20 international by the name of Christopher Scott, who it was reported by Sky journalist Florian Plettenberg that he has been not just been watched by, but in talks with Celtic representatives along with Brentford. Brentford, as we know, have been highly applauded in recent seasons for their sort of scouting, their analytics, and being able to find players.
Yep.
And the fact that we are also following a player, does that mean does that put us in a position? Are we doing the same, or is it just per chance that we're looking at the same player? What's your just come to yourself first, William? What's your thoughts on this? Is this somebody? Are you aware of who this Christopher Scott is? Do you think this is a signing that is it something that excites you for the future? What's the situation?
I have no idea about him, as probably most. But you don't sign for Bayern unless you're a decent player, and I think he's got 2 or 3 first team appearances this season as well. If I'm not wrong, I know he plays in the youth mostly, but I think he's got a couple of appearances this year for the first team.
From what I'm reading here,
right.
He's no played for the first team yet, but he has a decent return in terms of goals and assists for the Bayern too.
Right, okay.
And they signed him for Leverkusen as well.
I'm pretty sure his contract ends at the end of the season as well. So, if I'm not mistaken, mind you, I was wrong 2 minutes ago, so I could probably be wrong there again.
I was in your book, Wally. I thought it hit with 2 or 3 games. Like
it is up at according to this anyway. I'm just going off what I'm reading here, boys. According to this, it is up at the end of the season, but Bayern do have an optional year extension, and it's reported if they activate that, which is it's up to them, not the player. If they activate this, then he's valued, or they're talking about a value about 600,000.
Which is nothing.
And this day
you could be another.
This
is the sort of thing we did with Moussa Dembele. We got him for peanuts with that ruling. It was a couple $100,000, 250 grand or something. He's came in and we've sold him for absolute mega millions. So it's hard to comment when you've not got a Scooby-Doo about the player, but the fact that we're looking at big prospects from elite clubs. I mean, Bayern Munich are up there with the best clubs in the world. It's exciting to hear. And and the recruitment this season has been absolutely second to none.
Yep.
The 2 windows have been 2 of the best windows in recent memory. So to think that this could be another wonderful talent coming through the gates at Celtic is magic. I don't know if he's going to be one that slots right in or he's one for the future, but I would imagine he's coming straight in, because if it's one for the future, then I don't understand why wouldn't he stay at Bayern if that's the case, and especially if he's got the numbers that he's got for them. So, and am I wrong? Is he a number 10?
I think so. I attack him anyway.
We've not got enough of them, so I bring him on in. We've got 5 number 10s, man. It's exciting to hear that it's the elite. Brentford do. We've had I think John will tell you, we've had a pod on that, so I'll let John explain to you. We've had.
So we had the money. We done a Moneyball episode about obviously Celtic's sort of financial situation, but I think what Brown's alluding to there about the Moneyball approach is analytics. And is it if MD's seen the film? I think it's about baseball. It's got Brad Pitt.
It's cracking film, by the way.
With this guy, is a good film. Where this boy comes in and he completely revolutionises how players are scouted, and they use everything. They completely deep dive analytics, top to bottom, everything, age, how many minutes they're playing, how much of the part they're covering, how many passes have made, completed percentages, everything, taking everything into account, and coming out with a scoring system essentially to rate a player. Brentford have obviously, this is a club, they're sort of taking strides in football. I think they're being praised for it, for the way that they're sort of bringing that in. It was something we talked about as well. If you go back, we had David Webb on prior to us obviously bringing Ange in. I think the speculation was still that we were bringing in
Howe. That's right.
I've even forgot his fucking name. Eddie Howe. That's how much I've forgot about it. So prior to when we were still on, I think it was preliminarily agreed that Eddie Howe was coming in. So Eddie Howe's right-hand man at Bournemouth was a man called David Webb. He was part of the scouting system. What was it? I forget. He was telling us some cracking stories about how he found
Wilf Zaha. Wilfred Zaha. Wilfred Zaha. Like Sunday League, and he brought him up.
Playing Sunday League football. He just heard about this boy, went to see him, watched him, and then immediately was pushed for him to come in. And then look where he is now. But we spoke to him, and he's somebody who's very analytic heavy in terms of his sort of scouting methods and stuff like that. And it was a very interesting conversation. Again, another episode we've got previous. It's worth going back and listening to. Even though the discussion was about him working under Howe and stuff like that, which obviously didn't come to fruition at the time, it was relevant. But he's still got a lot of interesting stories. And it's definitely worth a listen. Scotland are up 2-0. I was expecting somebody to shout that out.
I've done that.
I thought you were just.
It was a decent goal to.
That was random though. I've not got the game on, so that could have been it.
By the way, see what John's saying there about that David Webb is. If you've got a spare half hour or whatever it was, I would go back to it. It is brilliant insight to like the whole director of football thing, because at the time it was a massive thing for us. We were right in the midst of how coming in and the whole scouting system and all that sort of things. Everybody's left, and we didn't have nothing from top to bottom pretty much. And there was loads of discussion about how much a director of football would have an effect at Celtic, and I genuinely thought it was his insight to it is brilliant. It's so good to hear about how he's just the go between the manager and the board and all that sort of stuff. It's such a good listen, and he's really, really spot on. David Webb, he was a great guest. It's a great listen. So I would implore you to go and catch that up if you can.
Don't know where he is at the minute, but I think it might be worth just reaching out to David Webb again and getting them back on just to talk about stuff like that.
Definitely,
because his insight and his knowledge, especially into when you're talking about the scouting and analytical side of things, I think he could offer a really, really good discussion.
Did we not bring a guy in for Benfica for all that, carry on?
Don't know. I think it's just Ange said he's like the woman going to the shop and he kens what he wants. That's what I want. And I'll buy that and I'll walk out again. And I think he's done a decent job so far.
And whatever he's doing, stick to
I would just Andrew's our director of football and manager or catering lady. He's everything. Just give him all the jobs.
Whatever he's doing, stick to it. I'll go with
Brown
that.
has come in with a question here. Lisbon aside, what is your top 3 Celtic goals? Got a few answers here, so I'll run through some of these answers where we have a wee think. Well, you're a wee lifeline here. Jed's come in.
That's a massive question.
Henrik against Boavista, Jan Venegar's winner versus the Dead Club, and Rogic to seal the invincible treble.
Rogic, what up?
This is another question to you that it's like it's
Was that Rogic one? Was that the
Aberdeen
one and the last minute sort of? Aye.
See, it's like, so is this like your favourite goals, or is it what you thought was the best goals? It's a difficult question, man. There's that many.
Kevin's come in. YouTube hand-trick montage. A challenge anyone to beat Chris Sutton's bullet header v Ajax Amsterdam volley against Juve in the Champions League last-minute chip.
Wow, that's a good 3 goals by one player.
I was at that Juve game, and it was, I've been to hundreds of derbies and all the rest of it. See the atmosphere that night, it was unbelievable. And Sutton's volley was, you can't catch a strike sweeter than that. Henrik's chip in the 6-2 games has got to be up there. I'm surprised.
That's number 1 on my list. That, to me, that's the greatest goal I've ever seen in a Celtic jersey.
I don't know. I thought he's.
Again,
Lambert's goal against them in the 2-0 game.
That was
the one that was turning.
I hit the stanchion.
Left claws.
By the way, and how important was that goal? That's what won us the league. By the way, that game won us the league that year.
By the way, there's
Lambert.
But Joe came in, McAvenny, 1988 Scottish Cup final. McStay left foot volley at Ibrox and Lambert versus the Howitzer. Joe, just as we were saying there.
Collins' free kick against him. Like, I don't know, I can't remember why, but Celtic fans weren't allowed at Ibrox, and Collins scored an absolute picture free kick, and it just silenced Ibrox, man. Oh, what a goal that was!
It's funny how you remember it's all the goals against him, eh?
Aye.
My favourite goal against him was not even the 6-2 game. It's the cross and Larsson's hit that like swivel volley into the top corner.
Oh, aye.
By the way, I just want to go back on this again. We have an episode. We've discussed this at length. What the favourite goal was. I'm sure I can't remember what episode it was. So go back and listen to them until you find it. But
I think it's our first extravaganza before the derby game.
But it's something we talk about. Brown Warriors come in. Maloney versus Hamilton, the 8-1 game. Third goal at Love Street in 86, and Nakamura's free kick against Man United.
What one? By the way, it's obvious, but he did score in both games against them.
Nakamura's go against Rangers as well.
I know.
Brown's correct yourself. Sorry, you Dunfermline, no Hamilton.
You could actually just say a full Nakamura. See his free kick against Kilmarnock. Was it Kilmarnock to win the league?
Aye.
I just see he's striking on up the line.
It's 2 goals. He scored 2 goals against 2 free kicks against Man United that campaign day. Scored at Old Trafford too.
Nakamura was unreal. You imagine with the set pieces we've had this year, if we had a dead ball specialist like Nakamura in the team.
My ticket for the football was used to be right behind the goal, so you just seen that. You knew Nakamura's goal was in all the way.
Sorry, mate. That first header against Sevilla is the best header.
Mm-hmm. That was a really good header.
Absolutely.
Much like Ronaldo. He's not the biggest, but he was so good in the air, man.
Just got up.
The boy had everything. I could sit and talk about. We could actually do a special just on Larsson, by the way. Another shout, because he was just the fact that you got to see him play for our club is an absolute. In his prime, is just an absolute joy. So lucky, man. So lucky.
I know. Genuine world-class player, man.
But Kevin's highlighted again that Naka free kick versus Man U and Lambert versus them in the New Year game. Alistair Jacks came in. Watt versus Barcelona. It wasn't the greatest of goals, but given its importance, and when it came, it was an absolute peach. Lambert versus
it was like the 125th anniversary and that as well. Was it?
The stars just aligned that night, man. And
6% possession.
Do you know? Because I think at that point it was we were up 2-0, right?
That was to make it 2-0.
To make it 2-0, but you seen the way Barcelona pressed us in the final minutes, and then they scored that goal, and I was thinking, this is just going to fall out. This.
I've got to give Lennon props for that. By the way,
I was just about to.
You've got the likes of Rodgers and even Andrich came afterwards, and they've got a style of play got to give Lennon his props. He knew how to set up the team against bigger teams or more elite teams, and he knew Strachan was the exact same, by the way. Strachan was the exact same. See Strachan's team, by the way. I'd go as far as saying it's like ability-wise up there with the worst teams we've had in the last 20 years. But the success he had, and including Europe, was some of the best we've had. So you've got to give big props to Strachan as well. Like
I learned him that Barcelona game. He just tactics were bang on. It defended the width for the 18-yard box. I was happy for Barcelona to cross it because
the way we played against Barcelona in that game is what teams are doing to us now.
Aye. Totally.
I'm not anyway, but like
we could all
when you come up against teams that are far superior in quality, sometimes the best thing
that's true. But and you're bang on, and we've said on this. I remember sitting on this after the Livingston game. We withdrew and Giacomakis missed a penalty in the last minute, and there was never once I said like, "Oh, we were terrible today." We were excellent that day, but Livy were superb and they were compact and defending great, and they just turned up and played well. You've got to take your hat after that sometimes.
Definitely. But I think one of the things that was frustrating, and this has just come back to this game, that Livingston game was frustrating, was the repetitiveness of what we were doing, and the fact that we weren't sort of switching things up. Because we've touched on it before, we've alluded to Celtic creating more chances outside the box, taking shots at goal on site, just like try to test them a wee bit, draw them out and letting them know they can't give you space. But we were doing the same thing constantly and it wasn't working. And we didn't hear a player, or we did at the time, but we weren't having success. Livingston, they're a big team, they're a physical team, they defend really, really well, they're compact.
They're a far different team now, I think, but for the absolutely different night and day.
I think it would be, obviously,
but I hear what you're saying, John, and I do agree to an extent, but Andrew's not going to change. I think he said that, and I think it's a matter of when it's not going right, he changes personnel, and that's it. He's not going to change his style. But I agree. That's why I like Turnbull on the side, because
he will take a pot.
Takes a pot shot for going. I liked Christie on the side as well. I know everybody.
You said it last week on the podcast as well.
Aye, I agree. I totally agree, and that's why I like Turnbull on the side, because he does. He does take a chance and take a pot shot. Hatate's been great at it recently as well. He likes to take a shot as well. So. Something I would definitely like to see more of, especially when we're not.
Mine's coming with another piece. Henrik's header versus Dundee United in the Scottish Cup semi in 2001 always seems forgot about. Still struggle to work out how he puts the ball in the net for that angle.
What a player, man. What a player.
He was just different class, man. And anybody that ever comes out and says that he's not the greatest player to ever play in this league is ridiculous. You can't back that up.
Agreed. Remember, he was done. He was too old, and he was done after he left us. Then he went and won a Champions League, and then went to Man United for 4 months.
And turned Man United
around.
And Man United wanted to keep him. Barca wanted to keep him. How much would Larson be worth if he played now? 100 million, easy.
I think so.
Yeah, that. You're paying fucking 90 million for Harry Maguire, then he's worth 3 trillion.
I mean, Declan Rice is a player. Declan Rice is a player I really like, but if he's getting valued at 150, then
obviously, if he was still in his prime, Jed, well, if he was still playing right now, he probably wouldn't be worth much.
300.
Oh no, like
he's probably still got it. To be fair, broke my foot when Naka scored that free kick versus Kelly. Dived out of the wheelchair.
Mate, I tell you what, I wasn't far off.
It wasn't a good idea. Not a good idea, like it.
I was like wee Strachan running down the line, running about like nuts.
100% pizza.
Agreed, pizza, mate. You could make a podcast for one day.
Larson's diving header for Sweden topped that
goal. Oh, that was a belter to go as well.
Diving
header against St. Johnstone. One of the I never watched any Sweden international games, but the one game I did watch was when they played England and Mjällby scored. The header for it was a corner, and they won 1-0. Absolutely beautiful goal. Go and watch the goal by Baradin Atijic for the Celtic development squad on YouTube. Outstanding finish. Need to check that out.
Something I want to do, by the way, a bit more. Go and see the B team live. Get a boys' day out and go and see that. Go and watch the team or something like that, and then get a few bevies afterwards.
Just on the development thing, I think they've announced the clubs for that Adidas development, or the Adidas, what I can't remember the name of it, the league in America.
Friendlies or something.
Aye, it's for the sort of the development side of things. I think it's all the major league soccer clubs in America, and then select teams for Europe. I think Roma, Celtic, a couple of Sevilla, Spanish teams, and that. So that's something worth keeping an eye on as well, because again, these are guys that are potentially coming through the ranks. And not just that, I mean, they're potentially showcasing players that you might even look to pick up for the future.
That's true, mate. We're needing that, because we've not had many coming through, to be honest with you. And I don't think it's a matter of so much not being given a chance. I just think they're not good enough. We've had, obviously, we were quite thin at the start of the season, and there was boys given chances, Montgomery's and young Moffat and stuff like that. And it looks like Moffat's the best that we've got coming through, and even he's nowhere near our first 11. So, what needs to be made in that area of the club, definitely. Even if it is this sort of, I don't know if it's a money ball or whatever. I know Dortmund and that, everybody spoke about it. They've got this thing in place where you're bringing in these young players, you're getting this talent and bringing them in for elsewhere. I don't think we're doing that, are we, at all? It's young Scottish boys we've got. You'd never hear of us getting a young German talent in, or a young...
Well, that's why it's exciting to be linked with that boy, that Christopher Scott. And then you seen us bring in, like, the likes of Urigide was one, and you were looking at him, and there's talk about him because he's at that Ostende, it would be an option to buy. They're looking to pick that up and probably sell him on for profit, no doubt.
I thought he looked decent when he played. It'd be a shame if
he a big laddie.
Aye, and he's the kind of, that's what you want in a centre half. For me, you want somebody with a bit of presence. You look at somebody
in that European game too. See the game we put a second side at, we won.
Was that
Betis?
Betis,
and he was immense.
Here's a question: did Paddy McCourt score a Brazil 1970 style dribble? He did. I think it was against St Mirren. Was it?
There was one Inverness as well, on the light green strip we had.
That's right. Aye.
What a player he was, by the way. See if he didn't drink 8 pints a day and smoke 45s, he would have been different class, man.
But moreover, we'll proper lead the line number 9. It's making a massive difference. Referring to obviously Jaku Marcus.
Agreed.
He's turning into a player, mate. I think he's starting to show his worth.
I mean,
Joe Finley.
Sorry, mate.
No, go ahead.
We said at the start of the season when he first came in, going on YouTube clips as usual, but he scored that many goals there, and it was for me. I said at the start of the season, even when he was out injured, and even when he first started coming in, he'll score hundreds and hundreds of goals in this team. The amount of chances we create, we need a 6-yard box player or somebody that's in there. Imagine Gary Hooper in this team. He would score He would score about 40 goals a season. Somebody in there, just a penalty box striker, and we've got that in Giacomakis, and I think he's just an outstanding option to have, because Kyogo's not that player. He's not the man that'll sit. He's one that plays on the shoulder. So to have Giacomakis there as well. What a squad!
And again, somebody with a bit of presence, as Brown says. He's somebody who he's got that size, the strength to sort of muscle his way in and about the box as well, at the sort of front and back posts, and around that the 6-yard box. I fully agree. But Joe Finley's got a question here. Obviously, he mentioned McCourt scoring that the dizzying runs. What is Celtic's biggest career disappointment? And obviously, he's highlighted McCourt. Tony Watt for me.
That's a good shout, mate.
Tony Watt showed so much promise, and then he just let the heat drop and let it all go, man. For me, I think he's definitely up there.
Harold Bratback was a massive for me. As much as I love him, and obviously he scored that goal. He was, when he came in, he was like, "This is the real deal. He's going to do what Cadet did and just absolutely hit the ground running."
He came in and scored. But was he was finishing top goal scorer at Rosenborg year in, year out.
And scoring the Champions League in that.
Done
it when he left.
He came here. Like you said, he scored some important goals, absolutely. But when he left,
I'm going Barkas.
Oh, that's a big one.
Okay. I was waiting on it.
Pretty much anybody that signed last year. Adieti, Duffy.
Duffy. Oh, Duffy.
I'm going to throw another one
So
out.
bad for the guy.
Timu Pukki.
Aye. There's plenty
Because
that went on afterwards.
what he went on today, at Norwich.
But then
after us,
didn't he have a good goal scoring record before he came to us, to be fair?
I think he was still. He scored quite a few goals. I think he came with a reputation anyway. He was a finisher. Was it Finnish international?
Because they were going for Finnbogason, the actual goal scorer, and got Pukki.
He chose to go to. Was it a Dutch team?
Was a Dutch team? I think it was a Dutch team.
Joe's came in.
Who won in the football? But
Cadetti, Jerry Craney, Paul Elliott.
He's
Cadetti's
just answering questions he's not asked.
I know. What's this in relation to Joe?
What's that?
That surely isn't your biggest disappointment.
Maybe a disappointment that they left.
Did somebody ask a question that I've missed?
I don't know.
Must have done.
I apologise if I've missed it. The Burns always bring up Loundrup as the best player in Scotland. He wasn't even the best player in the Loundrup household.
He was up. Listen, I've got to.
It was up there.
Brian Loundrup was up there. Listen, as much as we hate them, they've had some cracking players.
Aye, illegally.
Aye, but they still played here.
2 each.
I don't know if that's in relation to the comment I've just made, or have they just equalised? Have they?
Aye.
But I mean, we've actually had some absolutely cracking players playing this league in recent in technical past. Even if some of them are here through illegal EBTs and all the rest of it, it's like they've played here, and it's made the SPFL
it's a different game now. The money we had the money back then, and we could attract. We talked about it in a recent pod, and it was. We got Lambert, and he just won a Champions League. That's never ever going to happen again in this day and age, in this lifetime. The players we got back then.
No.
When
you were bringing in the likes of a Hearts and a Sutton.
Aye. And the Rangers team was unbelievable, by the way, back then. They're never signing players that are anywhere near that nowadays. Nowhere near it.
Not close to it, man. Not close to it.
But like I remember when they were bringing in the likes of Gascoigne and that, and Loudrup and fucking Alberts, who were all internationals, all absolutely close. Like you were like, how even then? Why was nobody questioning it then?
Oh, that's for another day, Jonah.
Alistair's came in with a shout though. Thomas Gravison. I forget.
I thought he did all right when he was here, man. Is that meant to be for disappointment? Because I thought he did all right.
I think so, because he followed it up with Bo Richter.
He was horrendous.
He was another player that I think he had a lot. He was projected to be a future star. So he came through the Ajax setup or something, I believe.
I think we spent a lot of money on him as well. 3 or 4 million, I think we spent on him.
Aye, but he was made of chocolate. He just constantly injured. He never got a chance. Kevin's came in. Roy Keane could have done so much more. Boss won Derby again. He was at the latter end of his career, though. I mean,
he was my hero, by the way, growing up. See, watching that Man United team, he was my hero. So when he signed, I was absolutely over the moon. But his legs are gone by then.
That's why when they talk about Aaron Ramsey being like the biggest marquee signing in Scottish history, it's like, hold on. Rangers brought in Gascoigne, a Kloss, and all that back in the day. Celtic have had Giannino, Keane, Robbie Keane, Roy Keane. Like, get a grip here. Joe Hart, get a grip.
Even Joe Hart's won more than Aaron Ramsey.
Even the Giannino one's massive. Like, a guy's won the World Cup.
So Joe's come out and he's elaborated. I was contributing to his own question. Cadet is a major disappointing Celtic career troops. Well, he was only had 1 year, and it was a fantastic year, Joe.
I think
it's a bit unfair.
I think the disappointment was that he left.
That he left,
so soon, aye.
I
mean, like we alluded to earlier, what is it, 36, 37,
and I think
goals?
I think maybe that wee asterisk is in relation to Larsson was in his prime, but never his head was never turned. He wanted to stay, and Cadetti was the polar opposite. Maybe.
Brown O'Neill spent close to 30 million adding a squad that already had Larsson, Petrov. That's true.
That's why,
like I said, even 30 million in this day and age, like back then, it was quite a lot. But
that's why I always think. And by the way, I don't want anyone to think this is because O'Neill's my hero, and that team is probably the best team of my generation. But he had a hell of a lot of money and a very talented, and he was adding to a pretty talented squad as it was. That's why I think the likes of Strachan and stuff, their achievements are much more warranted because they didn't have
as well,
and they didn't have the resources that he had.
Kevin Kloss was the highest paid player in the UK at the time he signed for Olco. And again, as I said, that's a subject for another day. So we're already at an hour and 25 minutes. It's been an absolutely fantastic discussion, despite the fact that Scotland are now equal. It's 2-2, which is unfortunate. But again, it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
It's because of the Celtic players playing.
Is a substitute still been made? No.
But no, came on.
Ideal. Works in their favour, as I say.
Stevie Clark's showing his colours.
That's right.
I just want to start wrapping things up. Obviously, thanks to everybody who, again, has come in and joined us and spent the past hour and so with us. Excuse me, sorry. Always appreciated. You know how much we appreciate it. We comment on it. We're going to continue to thank you all for taking your time out your night to join us and have a chat with us. We want to make these, like I said, I've said this before, and it will happen at some point in the future. I'm not sure when, but we want to dedicate an episode to like sort of interacting with you guys and sort of answering questions and having a wee bit more open discussion with viewers. So we've discussed the possibility of moving to a 3-day week, so 3 episodes a week, and dedicating one of those days to like a midweek episode or Wednesday or something, if you guys fancy it. So let us know what you think. If you'd be up for that, coming in and having a chat with us. William, Francis, obviously, we know you've both got the Scotland game on. If things were different, you probably wouldn't be on. You'd be watching the game. But obviously, I appreciate you boys obviously taking time at your night to join us as well. Appreciated as always. I think the discussion has been fantastic tonight. And again, if you enjoyed it, William, Francis, anything you want to add?
Nah, not really. Just go and watch A Violent Man and buy something off Manscaped.
Correct.
Absolutely. So we'll leave it at that. As William says, A Violent Man on Netflix right now. I think it's in the top 10 movies in the UK at the minute. It's a film that was written and directed by Ross McCall, who we had a guest on the show, obviously big actor, but also most importantly, diehard Celtic man. Knows his stuff. Yeah, hopefully he'll be coming back on and joining us again soon. We're having those discussions at the minute. And we've had his blessing to obviously have his new movie sponsor this episode. And again, Manscaped, as always, 20% off if you want to. I'm not sure if we conceded again. What's happening, Francis? Coming to you, Francis.
No, a good chance here.
Gives your best kiss, Kamara.
What was that?
I don't know, Jeff.
What was that?
I still got us, Jeff. Just wanted to get
What's that?
Brown, thanks as always, mate. We appreciate it. As I said, every time we come on and as we're wrapping things up, you guys have got nothing but kind words to say about it. And we've seen on Twitter as well, other Celtic pages are asking podcasts to check out, and our names getting mentioned. So it honestly means the world to us. And like I said, we love doing this. We love talking about Celtic. We just love talking to other Celtic fans, and just it's been an amazing journey. So hopefully it continues. We'll definitely check out the how do you even pronounce Atajic link out. Quite not great, but it's about. We'll check it out. And we'll go there and pronounce his name.
The Boyle.
That's right.
And Alistair, as always, mate, thanks for coming in. So, guys, we're back on Friday night, 8 o'clock. Obviously, that's the last episode before the big derby game. So it'll be a lot of the focus and a lot of the discussion is going to be, I've went dark again. It's going to be on the upcoming derby on the Sunday. And then we'll catch up these again on the Tuesday following that to celebrate. So, it's Kevin, there you go, mate. Let's put this league to bed on Sunday. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes,
but fantastic. And again, we'll catch you all on Friday. Take it easy. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, troops.